Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be looking at No Clip by Duende Games with music by TLR. Biggest seizure warning I could possibly hold up for you right now. If you're anyone who has trouble with epilepsy, please abandon all hope, ye who enter here. This is a pretty serious one, for real. Like, I actually tried this for a few minutes and it probably is going to get so bad that I'm going to need to stop before I'm ready to end the video. I like to believe that that's a good thing, but in this case, I feel like it's going to trigger a migraine. Anyway, we'll talk about that in just a second. This is a first-person exploration game with obviously a heavy dose of the surreal, and it is pretty out there. This is for the Game Jolt-sponsored glitchjam, and I've covered a few of these in the past. This is definitely the most glitchy of them, and I say that in, you know, the affectionate way, but also, like I said, it might be a little bit much too as well. So let's start out. I'm going to press enter. And we are going to set off on a quest to find, I believe it's 8 artifacts that are scattered throughout this world. And we're going to take a look and see what kind of craziness we can discover here. The music, by the way, for this is absolutely fantastic, and it definitely puts you in the mood for some exploration. So I want to do a little bit of a look around here before I actually pick up the first artifact, which I believe is going to be this one right here. So the framework of this is, here's some stuff, walk around it, take in the sights and sounds. Look out for stuff. If you can find, you know, more artifacts, then even better. And as you collect more and more of these things, you seem to be able to last longer in the air, or at least your hover distance seems to be substantially increased. So instead of picking up the obvious one this time, I'm going to go up here and grab the one on top of this pyramid, so maybe we can get a better look at the world around us. One of the first things, actually, that I noticed was, aside from the crazy colors and wild, just really bold approach for how this is designed, I kind of hate the skybox, I'm sorry to say. I don't normally mind this stuff, but in this case, I feel like it does a disservice to this landscape. I sort of wanted to be more immersed in the placement of the world that we're in, and right now my eyes are just, like, drawn completely to the seams on the textures going around what is, you know, very apparently a cube. And I don't think there's really any reason to be, like, ashamed or anything of this artistic decision. It's just, for me, I just wish I could have spent more time worrying about the actual physical structures that are here in this space as well. But, on the other hand, it also does give us a clear delineation to see where the colors actually can start to differentiate each other from each other. So you can see if this was all connected and we just had like a typical parallaxing skybox, well, there wouldn't have been an obvious place for that delineation to occur. So in some ways it might be necessary. So you'll notice the graphics seem to be a little bit more glitched out now. We've got some jogging happening, we've got an occasional flicker, we've got parts of the screen getting mirrored a little bit, and there's also, I believe, occasionally flickers of chromatic aberration, which is where the colors are sort of coming apart around the edges of things. And this is really cool down here, this graveyard full of crosses, just quite impressive, especially when you think from up here that the scale is rather tiny, and then when you jump down into it, well, we find out it's actually, each one of these crosses is actually quite big. And I believe it also reveals the light sourcing on them as well, and they're actually full of shadows. Although we've got that same thing, I mentioned this in another video, where the two textures coincide, or collide rather. The engine doesn't know what to do with that information, so it just draws this little flickery box there. And in the case of a specific instance where you're trying to create glitches and things, that's probably to be desired. But in general, I would probably shy away from that. So in this case, since I went up the pyramid first, we're not actually able to reach this artifact atop this cross. We're actually going to have to go back to the other side of the pyramid, unfortunately. But it's okay, because there's actually quite a few picturesque-looking things to frame up along the way. And actually, anything with these crosses, with like a solid flat color going on in the background, looks quite nice in my opinion. The cubes flowing around through the sky may be, you know, maybe a little bit easy, but I do like these sort of icicle-shaped things coming down from the ceiling. And there is quite a bit of diversity in what you're looking at here. I mean, we've got flat planes, we've got cubes shooting out other cubes, we've got pyramids, we've got primitives in all directions, then we've got some very complex shapes happening off in the distance. And I have to wonder if the developer ran into any issues with polygon count or anything, since there's all of this terrain mapping going on in the edges. I think I probably would have been just fine if instead of having all of that stuff going on and it looks sort of rounded, if we just sort of did an endless plane that goes off into the distance. I don't think that would have really bothered me too much. But I guess, you know, the decision as it was also does tend to frame the space that we're going to be walking around inside of. And it probably would have looked a little bit sparse if it was just us just walking in this one spot that's got all the stuff in it, and then everything else is just sort of not there, if that makes any sense. It's just sort of like there's one hot spot to the landscape, and everything else just sort of falls away. So we're going to continue to walk around here. I kind of want to scale this massive tower, but it feels rather daunting. And now we're starting to get into the territory where there's enough glitching and enough craziness happening that it's a little bit difficult to look at. And when we pick up the next artifact, things are actually going to kind of go over the top to the point where I feel like is probably about as bad as it should have gotten at the worst that it's planning on getting. What I mean by that is, again, each time we pick up one of these artifacts, it's going to get worse in terms of glitching effects. And the music goes very well with that, I admit, but it also gets very hard to look at in terms of your ability to actually parse what is happening around you or to be able to make an accurate jump. And I don't know where the balance actually would necessarily lie, but I think that perhaps here, where we're at this very moment, might be a little bit on the extreme side for still having a while to go yet. But it does kind of make me wonder how far can we push this idea and how bad can the graphical glitching actually get. So I have to presume that we're probably going to have to climb up all of these white blocks to get to the top of one of these strange structures. Maybe the tops of multiple structures, but I can't actually see an artifact on top of any of them, so I'm just sort of taking that at face value. Just, well, you've given me a path, I'm going to assume you probably want me to climb it. And I'm already starting to have trouble paying attention to the screen, because my goodness, that is a lot of flickering and shaking going on. Is there stuff going on inside of that block? There may have been, as I fell down there. Oh, man. How am I going to do this? It is definitely a good hypnotic experience, though, if... Oh, I just fell off of that. I guess it's moving. It's actually causing me to fall. Kind of hard to tell, since you don't really have much of a framework to judge your perspective against. Like, you don't really know what being still looks like in this scenario. Yeah, I think I'm moving just a little bit. Like I said, very hard to tell. And I'm taking way too long in these jumps. They're going to take me ages this way. Yeah, pretty sure there's something going on inside of there. So we're going to have to frame up a jump and maybe take a dive over in that direction and see if we can get another artifact out. Let's wait for this to rotate around. I'll see if I can get a lined up shot here. One more turn. Oh, there it is. Dive in, and oh, looks like I actually made it in. What will happen now, though? I don't know. I can't hardly see anything. Oh, goodness. Fall, please. Did I get it? I don't think I got it. It's moving as fast. Wait, did I get it? I still don't know if I got it. Okay, well, I've fallen out of the cube. Is the glitching more intense now? I don't know. I think so. And now we're supposed to climb up all these cubes with this much craziness going on. And I think this might be about as far as I want to go for this video, just for the sake of all of you guys out there. I don't want to cause anyone any undue harm. And I say that hesitantly. I mean, I'm sure the developer didn't intend to cause anyone any harm, but like, this is about as bad as I can stand to look at the graphical glitching without fearing that I'm going to have a hard time, you know, performing cognitive functions from this point on. And yet, curiosity spurns me on further. I know you probably watched me do a few games that were sort of oriented towards the seizure warning element, and I've certainly seen ones that were perhaps even worse than this, just in terms of straight-up strobing. But I think those games didn't actually have quite as much to do with your dexterity and your ability to use spatial recognition to traverse an environment. In that case, the one that I'm thinking of specifically, and if I can remember the title even, it's a Not Pharmacard Subcondition J, I think, was one of the very worst that I'd ever played on the channel. And that one was largely just sort of manipulating yourself around a Geometry Wars style arena, so it wasn't all that serious. This one, we're trying to line up precision jumps in a three-dimensional space, and that, I feel like that takes a whole different element to be able to handle. And especially when it's only going to get worse, and then we also have to climb this bizarre tower over to the side there. Like, I don't know, man. This is asking a lot. I feel like we should have toned this down by about 5 tiers. And, like, where I was at when I picked up the third one should be, like, where I was at when I was at the end. But yeah, this is where we're at right now. And I don't think I want to go any further, because meltdown is occurring. Seriously, it looks like we're having, like, a graphical, like our video card's overheating or something. And I know that's what we're going for. But this is wild. But I do have to take my hat off to the developer. In terms of glitching, very convincing, very effective. and certainly what they were after, just I feel like maybe for the sake of the people playing the game. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I don't know how far we were supposed to balance gameplay versus sticking to the theme of the jam. And if they definitely wanted to prioritize the theme of the jam, I think that is very successful. If they wanted to prioritize playability, maybe not so much. But anyway, I will leave you at that point. That is No Clip. Feel free to go download this yourself if you'd like to traverse the last few obstacles, see if you can climb this tower and grab yourself a couple more of these artifacts. I have to say, though, there's moments of this being quite pretty. If we could just, like, calm it down by about 80%, I would like to just sit and look at this for a minute. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like on it. It helps me out a whole bunch. Helps spread the word about more indie games that I run into, and, you know, get the word out about more developers that are still working on projects, and to sort of raise public consciousness about what is going on. Because there are a lot of games that just don't even get to be seen, unfortunately, and I want to do my best to try and change that. So be sure to come back again tomorrow. New episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day. I look forward to showing you another one tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you didn't get a headache. So I'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. Have a good night.